Hi, welcome back to Ahead of the Curve. I'm your host, Dr. Megan Teed. Today I'm going to be discussing the 5 best questions to ask yourself before considering spinal fusion. And this episode is good even if you yourself aren't considering it. If you have a child who might be a candidate for spinal fusion, this could be a good prompt to sit down with them and go through all of these questions together so that you feel like you're making the best informed decision. And as a disclaimer, I am not a medical doctor. I am not your doctor. All of this information is for educational purposes only, so please use your best discretion. So the first question would be, what is my current quality of life? And how much does my scoliosis impact it daily? So, here are some more refined, specific questions to ask yourself. Am I limited by pain, function, or fatigue most days? Also, consider how your curve affects your sleep, movement, breathing, or emotional well being. Your surgery isn't just about the angles that you see on your x ray. So, there are different ranges of degrees of Cobb angles that are considered severe that are usually pushed to have surgery. And that's usually anything that's above a 55-degree Cobb angle. But with that said, there are plenty of people who have above a 55-degree Cobb angle who are walking around without pain, high functioning, and they really are living a very full life. So it's all about how you are feeling in particular and how you're functioning as well. The other thing to think about is, if you are losing maybe function of a leg, or if you're experiencing foot drop or weakness, when you go upstairs, if you feel like you're tripping often, if it's happening really quickly, this is something to really look at closely with your doctor because there might not be a whole lot of ability to avoid a surgery in that specific situation. So, if your curve looks severe on paper, but your quality of life is good, conservative management might still be your best first step. Question number 2, have I exhausted all non-surgical options? So think about what you've already tried. Scoliosis specific physical therapy or exercise, strength training, neuromuscular education, myofascial work, craniosacral therapy, or visceral manipulation. If you've tried all of these and you still feel like you haven't really had great success with it, have you been guided by somebody who is trained in scoliosis care and not just general fitness or physical therapy? So sometimes it's not that nothing has worked, but it's that you haven't found the right approach quite yet. If you have given these a try and you have been consistent with it, have you given it enough time? So, these things don't usually happen or help overnight. It's more of a progressive compounding effect over time. Usually, with scoliosis specific care in general, I would say at that 3-month mark into it, you should be able to see if this is helpful or not for you. And that really is the case for a lot of these more conservative measures. If you've been consistently, going for acupuncture treatments or craniosacral therapy on a weekly basis, at that 3-month mark, you should definitely be able to tell if it is helping you or not. And it might be the provider that you're working with. So that they might not be a good fit for you. I always think that, surgery is a last minute resort for people, last minute solution. So if you haven't exhausted all of these conservative measures first, that's definitely something that you would want to try to do first. 3, what are my goals and will surgery realistically help me reach them? Clarify what you're hoping to gain. Is it less pain, better posture, more energy, peace of mind? And then ask yourself, does spinal fusion directly address these goals, or are there other ways to get there? Or you have to remember that the fusion stabilizes the structure, but it doesn't always guarantee pain relief or improved mobility. And in fact, it actually will reduce your mobility if you're getting a fusion of your spine, which I think that you know that. Um, and I think that you also know that this does not guarantee pain relief. I mean, there's a possibility that you could have more pain afterwards, unfortunately, just because this is such an invasive procedure to your body. Things can go wrong, infections can happen. It's very rare for that to happen, but um, it's something that you need to consider. Is this worth is the risk worth the potential outcome that you're hoping for? Your goals can help guide you, like I said, whether the potential worth the risk, excuse me, getting tongue tied here. Asking yourself these questions and having clear goals in mind as far as, what specific outcome are you hoping to achieve through having this spinal fusion, it can help guide whether the potential risks are worth the potential benefits. 4, question 4 is, do I understand the risks, limitations, and long-term outcomes that come alongside a spinal fusion? You have to learn about the realities. What is the recovery time? How much of a loss of spinal mobility will I have? So, like, how many levels are going to be fused together? And this is really, it falls in relation to what levels of the spine are they fusing. So, if they're fusing your thoracic spine, it's not as much of a loss of spinal mobility as if you're getting more of a fusion in your lumbar spine. With your thoracic spine, your vertebrae are attached to the rib cage, or the rib cage is attached to the vertebrae. So that rib cage already acts like a little bit of a brace, and it restricts your movement that you have in your thoracic spine. You don't have a ton of mobility in that region. So your range of motion, your mobility won't change a ton with a fusion that's more focused and emphasized in the thoracic spine compared to if you have more of a fusion, more levels in your lumbar spine. That is a very mobile part of your body. It impacts your ability to bend and side bend and rotate. Yes, your thoracic spine influences that as well, but your lumbar spine is much more mobile than your thoracic spine. So, understanding those things, talking with your doctor about what levels would be fused with your particular fusion, because it's not the same person to person. Also, learning about the potential adjacent segment issues. So, when you get the fusion done, years down the line, the areas surrounding your fusion, they are going to wear more quickly because of a couple of different reasons. One reason is they're going to be taking up the slack, and there's going to be more asked of them mobility wise than if you had all of your segments of your spine able to move freely. So those areas are going to wear down more quickly because of that. And then also, it is butted up against a different type of structure than what your bones are made of. So your bones are a bit more delicate than what your fusion consists of. So that is metal, hardware, things of that sort. So having that next door relationship with each other, that's going to influence how quickly that area breaks down over time. So that's just something that you should be aware of. That is why when somebody does have one surgery, it often leads to more surgeries because the surrounding areas will eventually break down too. And then they will also potentially could cause you some pain. And then also understanding what is the involvement of your post surgical rehab. If you're not really an exercise person and that's why you want to skip um, maybe some of the more conservative measures because it hasn't been something that you've been able to stick with very well. There's really no avoiding it because eventually you should be your surgeon should be recommending that you're doing some rehab and exercise afterwards to help yourself recover from this procedure. Talk to people who have had fusions. There are scoliosis support groups on Facebook. I do recommend maybe screening who you ask in those groups first, looking at maybe other comments that they have made on posts and within the group. And if they are trending to be a very negative and scary person, maybe that might not be somebody you want to talk to, or make sure that you're talking to a variety of people, people who have positive comments in the group, encouraging comments in the group, and then maybe ones that are more neutral would be good to speak with as far as having conversations with people who have had the procedure done. You want to hear from people who have had great outcomes and those who have faced challenges so that you're getting a really balanced picture of what you can expect as an outcome for your procedure. Ask your surgeon really direct questions about their success rates, their revision rates, and what your day-to-day life might look like after you have your surgery. The more informed you are, the more empowered your decision will become, and the better you'll feel about making your decision one way or the other. The last question that I recommend thinking about is, am I mentally and emotionally ready for either path? Surgery and even choosing not to have it both require emotional resilience. So, on one hand, are you ready for the long-term recovery process or for the commitment to a consistent movement routine if you stay on the non-surgical route? Both are they can be very heavy depending on your outlook on movement and exercise. If you feel like that is a big burden for you, then to be sticking with over time, that could influence whether or not you choose the conservative route. Consider building a support team. So your family, a scoliosis trained provider. So whether that's a physical therapist, Pilates instructor, there are scoliosis informed yoga instructors, also personal trainers. Be smart. A lot of people say that they understand scoliosis and they really don't. So ask a few more probing questions before you just take their word for it. But whatever route you choose, you want to make sure that you have a great support team. Also, a scoliosis informed counselor. They are out there. Carrie Green. She is more of a coach because unless you live in her state, she wouldn't be able to be your therapist. But she is a wonderful, wonderful resource for helping people. In fact, she has had a spinal fusion herself. So she would be a wonderful person to speak with if this is something that you're thinking about um, or considering having done in the future. But whatever route you choose, your mindset is a huge factor in both your healing and your long term outcomes. If you're going into it with a very negative mindset that this is never going to get better for you, never going to improve, everything is doomed, you're going to head that direction. It's very well researched, it's very well known that people who have a more optimistic outlook on things, they tend to have better outcomes in any sort of recovery rate, any sort of thing that they're recovering from. So whether that's surgery, whether that's just a sprained ankle, even recovering like postpartum, all of these things are definitely influenced by your mindset. My final thoughts on this, there is just no one size fits all answer to whether a spinal fusion is right. But asking these questions can help you make an educated and empowered decision, not one based off of fear or pressure or panic. This is one that is informed and well educated, and you can feel some peace about this. You deserve to feel confident in your path forward and not rushed into it. So, unless you are having some sort of medical emergency, this should be a really well thought out decision that you're making, especially if you're an adult. You definitely have more time to make this decision. Adolescents, it can be a little bit more of an urgency to that, but making sure that you have exhausted all conservative measures, either way, no matter what age you are, that is my biggest recommendation to you. Thank you for listening and tuning in. I hope you stay well, and until next time, stay ahead of the curve.